Warning, this is a movie discussion as well as a movie review, but mostly a discussion. It contains lots and lots of spoilers. So, John Wick Chapter 2 proves that people don't always know when to just leave well enough the fuck alone. It also begs the question, how many cars does John Wick have to get hit by before his knees just give the fuck out? How many bullets have to fly at him before one actually hits his ass? And let me get straight to the point. This movie is asinine, and I almost fell asleep on it. Not only do I not even know where to start, but I honestly have nothing good to say about it. The writers were obviously just trying to capitalize on the success of the first movie, and this shit was forced. It was ridiculous. It starts off making a little bit of sense, okay? After all that shit in the first movie, you forget that John Wick never got his car back. So the movie opens up with him stealing his car back, which is now in the possession of Big O's brother, Abram. Makes sense. John Wick, he goes through all this trouble to actually physically get to Abram. He destroys his car in the process that he just stole back. He kills all these guys again just to finally find Abram and do what? Make a peace treaty or pledge or whatever. And everything is all good and it never comes up again. Instead, Santino D'Antonio, played by Ricardo Scamarcio, shows up. Turns out he's the one who helped John get out of the hitman gang. And now John owes him. Okay, so who made this shit up? And of course they never tell you how he helped John Wick. You know why? Because they made it up. So when John declines to honor the marker with his blood oath, refusing to kill Santino's sister Gianna so Santino can get her seat at the high table, Santino blows John's house up with him in it. First of all, do you want the man dead? How is he going to kill your sister if he's dead? And you're going to blow up his house? You really want this guy to have nothing else to lose? Now let me tell you, I'm gonna tell y'all why this movie was wrong from the beginning. Santino is a bitch. Santino would have never, okay? By the end of the movie, he was cowering in the Continental, threatening to stay there forever, or as long as it took. So he was going to seek permanent refuge at the Continental to hide from the wrath of John Wick. And I'm supposed to believe he had the balls to blow up John's whole house in the first goddamn place? Everything John Wick had left? No. Santino's a bitch, trying to kill his sister because his daddy knew he was a bitch too. Starting a war with John Wick is not in his DNA, bloody marker or not. This is inconsistent with his overall behavior and personality. John Wick could have easily said fuck the marker rule and killed him because he don't give a fuck. And now you've given him even more reason to not give a fuck. And let's not forget, this is still just days after all this other shit happened. Okay, his wife, he just buried his wife like a week ago. Okay, this shit is a continuation right after the first film. And this whole thing, like I said, with Santino never would have happened, which is why this whole movie should have never happened. But let me back it up here. John doesn't want to be engaged in this hitman shit. He's like, look, what I handled before was personal, okay? He goes to see Winston, and Winston, played by Ian McShane, he's just like, hey, you had a contract, and that's the second rule. Every marker must be honored. Fuck you thought. I don't know what to tell you. The first rule is, of course, no killing on the Continental grounds. So John kills Gianna in Rome. No, Gianna kills herself. She's like, fuck you, I die on my own terms. She slits her whole damn forearm like she's been waiting for this moment her whole life. Was she practicing suicide? I don't know. But she did a commendable job. So back to the bullshit. During John's escape through the catacombs, Santino's crew ambushes him. So now we're back to 20 guys failing at killing one guy. Perhaps they should have just waited for him to come out. And maybe 2 or 3 guys kill him, But no, they all rush the catacombs, flashlights are waving. Do you realize this is how we signal airplanes? This nigga can see you. This is not a good plan. How convenient, though, that John could use all those weapons he stashed in the catacombs. Of course, he kills everybody again and escapes. So here's my thing. Rules. Is there some rules against this shit? You give a hitman a job, then double cross him and try to kill him in a faux act of vengeance for him completing the job you gave him. No. Santino done lost his goddamn mind. Excommunicado this nigga, cause that's that bullshit. So Santino puts a $7 million contract out on John Wick. And this is when you find out that contract killing is a very popular career choice in New York. A mass text goes out and immediately random people everywhere are trying to kill John Wick, who magically appears in New York after a pointless 3-minute fight in Rome with an equally pointless character, Cassian, played by Common. Apparently, contract killers pose as homeless people, violinists in the subway. They're just everywhere waiting for someone to kill, which is obviously absolutely absurd. And I'm going to call bullshit on how many hitmen are just roaming the streets. I counted 8 that came for John Wick just in the subway. He fights them, he kills them, he conveniently gets a hold of a pencil to prove that he can kill niggas with a pencil. Cassian followed him all the way from Rome, talking about Gianna was his ward. What? I guarantee you the movie wouldn't have skipped a beat if his whole character hadn't even existed. Furthermore, he knew John didn't have a choice. They need a new rule against avenging contract, killers. But anyway, so they walk through the train station. They just casually take shots at each other with no regard for innocent human lives. No police show up. Eventually, John seeks out Morpheus the Pigeon Whisperer to help him find Santino. What? Why is he here? Another pointless character who apparently has eyes and hitmen on every corner. Why are there hitmen on every goddamn corner? So Wick just shows up to where Santino is and immediately begins to headshot everybody there in yet another crowd. This shit's getting old by now. So after he kills like 39 men, they're in this, like a museum or something, and they end up in this area. It's looking like a fun house of mirrors or something. And Santino decides it's safe to talk shit now because John can't find him in the mirror house. This dude is such a fucking bitch. And what the fuck even is this place? Why does this multi-level house of mirrors even exist? Then Santino's deaf mute chick, played by Ruby Rose, acting as one of his goons who's been running around also being pointless. She sees John kill a few dozen men again, and she's like, yo, I got this. No, the fuck you don't. How did you think you were going to win in a hand-to-hand combat with John Wick? How? I need these people to make better decisions. So he incapacitated her, and he found Santino, who had ran off to the Continental so he wouldn't be killed. And John Wick is like, fuck the rules. And he put a bullet in his head. And Winston is like, dude, what the fuck? I can't help you now. So Santino's contract has gone double and international. I don't know. I guess his estate is carrying this one out. I don't know how this works. John Wick is not allowed in the Continental anymore because he broke the rules. So he's excommunicado. But Winston says he won't allow anyone to kill John Wick for 1 hour, basically giving him a head start. Because Winston is like the Wiz. He's the wizard of hitmen, and he runs this shit. So they're in the park, and he gives the signal, and literally like a whole 100 people stop and look at John. So I'm to believe that all these people are contract killers. Is there like a recruiting table at the local career fairs? Like I said, this movie really, it just didn't make any sense. I honestly don't have anything nice to say about it. The plot was dumb. The characters, dumb. The addition of Common and Lawrence Fishburne and Ruby Rose, that alone can't save this movie because none of them served a purpose. I can't even believe they followed up John Wick with this bullshit, and it's clearly set up for a third film. I really hope they throw in the towel. I give this shit a 1. A 1 out of 10. It was horrible. It was thrown together. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Follow me on Twitter at MovieBuffChick1. Like, subscribe, holla at me.